Bill, what are three things you want people to remember about SAP CPQ?
I think the first thing, Frank, is we've been one of the best CPQs on the market for 20 years. Market's starting to see that now, but we've been a great solution for a long time. I think second of all, integrations really matter. We talked about that on the podcast. And being part of the systems, having an ERP system and a CRM that's all in the family that we can integrate to and own both ends is really critical. So I think those are the main things that, and even for the low end, we're building systems that are, easier for mid-market companies to get into. But being part of an ecosystem, I think, is really important. That drives the integrations and drives the excellence in the software.
And given the complexity of enterprise software landscapes with multi-ERP and multi-CRM deployments, what are some best practice for customers to ensure successful CPQ implementations, especially when it comes to integrating with and managing data from these disparate systems?
I think the best advice is don't build silos. And that's not just related to CPQ, but it kind of bubbles up to CPQ most often because we are that sales operating system and we're the place where products and various business units need to be presented together and priced together for a solution. So, and I think the second thing is when you're implementing CPQ or your back-end or front-end architecture, build for the future. I think everybody gets in a hurry, their budget constraint, and the scope starts to narrow. And you don't do those things in that initial implementation that would give you the room to handle those more complex things in the future. So, plan for the future. When you're building a house, buy it on a lot that's big enough to add that extra bedroom if you need later, right?
Excellent. That makes a lot of sense. Now, many customers migrating to SAP underestimate the true cost of customization. Can you elaborate on the hidden costs associated with customization and how they can be avoided during a CPQ implementation?
Yeah, I think the main thing is that companies, not only do they underestimate the cost of the customization, they don't even know how to calculate the benefit of it. So how do you do an ROI? How do you decide to do that, right? But I think from your question, the costs is, let's say you have some scripting in your CPQ system. Does somebody in your company know what that is and why it's there and what it accomplishes? Because whoever wrote it, if it's an SI or a partner or a consultant or somebody that you had in, they're not here anymore, right? So if you don't understand what those and sometimes they're needed, right? Sometimes they're needed, particularly around integrations to unusual third-party systems. But if you don't know how to manage that or understand what it is or modify it or edit it, then it's virtually, you're screwed. You can't ever change that again, or it's going to be very, very, very expensive. And the last piece is we're really good at supporting our customers using our CPQ system. They call up, they get great support from SAP. We can't support customizations. We don't know what it is. We don't know why it's there. We don't know what it's connected to. So we have no way of really helping customers who get into a bind with their implementation because of the level of customization. And they tend to blame, they say, well, your system is slow, or your system doesn't do this, or these things are timing out. And it turns out to be some custom scripting that somebody did. And what I tell people is SAP CPQ works, we measure performance in milliseconds. So if you hit something, you got to wait 3 minutes. It's not CPQ that you're waiting for. It's either an integration or some scripting that may have gone sideways. And so best thing to do is use the tool in the way it was intended, right? Even if that means maybe sometimes getting a little out of your comfort zone and adapting yourself to the software rather than the other way around. As awkward as that sounds, right?
I was just about to say yes. So that's probably a challenging proposition for some, but it's something it's worth listening to and paying attention to, right? So anyway, so let me ask the last question, which is around AI, right? So SAP CPQ has already some built-in AI features, but it could be even more helpful, I guess, if customers captured more data. What kind of data should customers focus on collecting to get more out of AI in their CPQ systems, from your point of view?
The main thing is why, right? Why a particular price was offered. Was it because it's a particular vertical market? Is it because you were just trying to make the end of the quarter? Was it because maybe your fit for your product isn't really ideal, but you want to get some benefit there, so you sell your product at a lower price? Or so all of those things help an AI tool really understand why a price was a certain way. And so that kind of background information, which may or may not be in CRM or some other system, is really what's needed for an AI tool to really interpret that data, right? Think of a scattergram, right? I've got all these transactions. Some are won, some are lost, certain volume, certain price. But I've seen, even within our own product, same volume, roughly the same time frame, very different price. Well, there's a reason. Sometimes companies get like huge value out of CPQ, like they save thousands of dollars every time they do a quote with CPQ. Others, the value isn't there. So if you're truly value pricing, then an AI tool can't look at these two dots on a scattergram or those two data points in a database and infer what the price should be for this new deal, right? So I think that's the main thing. Where to collect that data, how to collect that data. I think we're going to learn together with our customers and the analyst community like yours over time to get better at doing that.